Hi everyone, hope you're all doing well. Welcome back to our channel. And in this playlist of learning KQL from scratch, the next thing that I'm going to talk about is date time functions. So if you'll go ahead and read the documentation, what you will see, there are many functions which are available, okay, and with which you can customize or you can add or update the values which exist in date time format. Okay. Now, these are all different functions which are available. So let me show you the documentation part first. So let's say if I go to the section where it gets started, you can see date time add, and these are all scalar functions, just FYI. Okay. So these are all scalar functions, and you can see it's getting started from here, then it goes till day of the year. Now, if I'll scroll down slightly more, I can show you month of the year. Okay. And if I'll scroll down, I can see this start of the day, start of the month, start of the week. So that's a kind of combination of all these different functions which exist. And I will try to explain all of them, at least this particular list. Okay. Now I'll come back to my Microsoft Sentinel console, and here I will simply access one table, which is common security log, where time generated greater than equal to, let's say, 3 days, and here I will only project time generated. Okay. Now fundamentally, if you want, you can just add time directly to this particular column, because this column is already having the required data type. Okay. So let's say if I do get schema, you can see time generated was system.datetime. So this function worked. Okay. However, let's say if this time generated is in string. Okay. Just a hypothetical example. So let's say here I can do toString, and let me just give this value here. Now you can see this is not working because this addition or this numerical operator will not work on something which is string formatted. Okay. So let's say if I do now get schema, time generated will be system.string. However, this is not the actual use case precisely speaking here, because when you're doing this manual approach, you have to every time define, let's say, the set of property that you want to add. Okay. And that's the reason why there is a dedicated function altogether. So let's say here I can say added window, and now I'm going to use my first function, which is datetime add. Okay. And let me just remove this once again to show you the actual set of parameters. Okay. So now in this particular function, you can say the very first thing that we have to type or provide is part, which basically means what exactly we want to add. Is it day? Is it hour? Is it minute? Then how many minutes? Let's say if I want to add certain minutes to this particular field, then how many minutes? And then the final thing is the actual column name, which in our case will be time generated. Okay. So here I will say I want to add, let's say, hour, and I will say add to hour, and here I will say time generated, and you can see now 2 hours are kind of added here. Okay. Now the question comes that what could be the use case of this? Okay. So the use case can be that, let's say, you are defining a specific time frame, okay, to detect some logs. For example, detect 5 consecutive failed logs based on the last log that has been received, capture the time generated field and just add 2 more minutes, and that function, or let's say this new value which I have, wherein we have added 2 more minutes, becomes my observation window. Okay. So that's how you're going to use these different functions. Okay. Now similarly, if I say extend difference, okay, here I can just say show me the date time difference, and here again what exactly I want, either it's days or minute, and then date time 1, date time 2. So fundamentally here I can say date time difference. I want the difference in hour, and the very first field is added window and the other one is time generated. Now the expected outcome is we will get 2 because we added 2 hours, and here I'm getting difference as 2 hours. Okay. So fundamentally I can have a condition in place. Let's say that if there are bulk registry modifications which are happening, okay, and the baseline difference is, let's say, 50 times, within the difference of 2 hours there should be an incident. Just an example, okay, how to use these different functions. Now the next thing that I'm going to talk about is date time zones. Okay, so firstly I will just print the set of time zones that we want. Okay, so here I will say date time list time zones, and these are all different time zones in which the information or a specific field can be converted to. Now understand that once I run this particular query, okay, I can fundamentally choose any time zone from here and I will get the results. But the question comes that why exactly you will use this, or why exactly you will convert, let's say, a column into a local time zone. Now see, when it comes to visualizing the data, it's very simple from the console perspective. However, let's say when you are accessing this data through API, then either you will get the default result in UTC format and then you convert it on your application side, build a small logic to convert that. However, you can just add one simple line here and everything will work as expected. Okay, so let's say I want a different field now, and here I will say that it should be in IST time zone. Okay, so for that I will use a specific function called datetime UTC to local. Okay, so it is datetime UTC to local, this one, and then I have to provide the actual column name and then which time zone I want the conversion to be done. Okay, so after running this command, you'll come to know which time zone you want. These values that you see over here is exactly what you have to give. Okay, so I can choose any time zone value from here, and the moment I'll give that particular value, I will get the converted value for the respective column itself. Okay, so let's say here I copy this one, which is Asia / Kolkata. Okay, and here I will say date time UTC to local. From field I will select time generated and the time zone is Asia / Kolkata. Now I'm getting IST formatted date time. Okay, now the next one is the actual part. Let's say you are building some evaluation to understand that what exactly, or let's say for which time period I am receiving the maximum number of sign-in logs, or let's say common security logs. Which part? Basically you want to extract a specific part from a date time field. Okay, so here I can say extend part and I will say date time part, which is this one. Okay, now here again part refers to day, hour, minute, what exactly you want to extract, and then your field. So here let's say I want to know the day from this particular field, which is time generated. So you can see it's now showing me the day. If you want, you can just change it to, let's say, year, and it will give you 2026. Okay, now here itself you can kind of apply many different functions. Okay, let's say like day of the week, okay, day of the month, and whatnot. So let me just show you two more examples here, and I will say extend, let's say, day, and here I will say day of the month, and then I will give my time generated field, and you can see it's again kind of giving me the same information. So here if I say day again, you'll see I'll get the same values. Now, let me give you a couple of more examples which can be fundamentally used by creating queries itself. Okay. So let's say I want to precisely know that what were the sign-in logs that I have received starting from the first day of last week to the last day of last week. Okay. So here I will say let start equal to start of the week. Now you can see there are 4 more functions. Okay. So I'll just showcase one because there is nothing complicated here and you can try different combinations on your own. So let's talk about start of the week. Okay. Now you can see it is expecting just one input, which is date. Okay. So I'll select this and instead of giving date, I will say ago 7 day. Okay. And this becomes my first variable. So I can say print start. And you can see it will give me the date, which was the start date of last week, which is 11th. Okay. Similarly, I can do end of week. Okay. So here I will say end, and here I will change this to end of week, and I can run this. And now I have 2 variables. Okay. Now fundamentally, I want to know sign-in logs where user principal name contains concepts work, where time generated between start and end. Okay. Now I want to summarize count by, let's say, bin time generated. Wait. Bin and then time generated, comma, 1 day. So now you can see I'm getting the sign-in logs for last week, specifically starting from 11th, and it should technically end at 17th. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7th day is missing. I don't think there will be any log on 17th. Let me just verify that quickly, where time generated, let's say greater than equal to ago 14 days. Okay. And summarize count by time generated, and let's just have a bin as well for time generated 1 day, and let's just see whether we are getting any sign-in log for 17th. Yeah, so you can see there is no sign-in log on 17th. So you can see this is how we can actually use these different functions. Okay. So likewise, I have given start of the week, end of the week. I can just say here itself start of the month. Okay. And let me run this now and let's see what exactly we get. Perfect. You can see it's starting from 1st of Jan. Okay. So likewise, we have discussed about start of the month, end of the month is also there, start of the week, end of the week, day of the year, hour of the day. These are so many different functions that can be practically used. But when it comes to date time functions, the majority of them will be used in terms of defining time frames. Okay. So let's just take a look what all we have covered. We have discussed about this one. We have discussed about date time difference, these part, day of the week, day of the month, month of the year. Yeah, I think fundamentally we have discussed majority of them apart from week of the year. So let me just quickly extend this as well. Let's say if I do extend week of the year, and I can just give my time generated field here, and you can see number 2, it's showing me for this one. Sorry, column number 4 is what has been extended. Now you see I'm getting column number 1 because I have not given any column name. So I can say week of year. And then I will get this number 4. If I'll try to sort this, you can see these are all different logs with the respective map of week of the year. Okay. Now let's say if I do this to 60 days and let's just see what we get for the month of December. Okay. So you can see week of the year is 52 last week. Okay. So this is how DateTime functions typically work. In the next video, I'm going to talk about the functions that can be used to evaluate IP addresses. So if you think that this channel is helping you to learn anything new, please feel free to subscribe and share this video with your technical community. Thank you so much. Thanks for your time.